Something different. Okay, I want to share something different. Maybe you have never even heard of when it comes to shifting the nervous system. So I've written a book called Four Bodies, Four Medicines. It's in the back of 10 Ways to Balance Your Brain Chemistry. And we also have a free version of it out there. We talked about you have a physical body. That's where your nervous system sits. Your vital body is your emotional body. Your mental body is where the thoughts are all stored, but you also have a quantum body. And there's something called a top-down approach, which is where you start to inform the rest of your system through the quantum body instead of the other way around. Now, our medical system does what's called the bottom-up approach. That is where it makes the corrections in the physical form, like surgery or pharmaceuticals. So, in the case of someone who is dealing with fear, what does that look like as a diagnosis? Anybody? Anybody?
Anyone? Anyone?
Anxiety disorder, right? One of the worst things that our medical system has done is to treat anxiety with addictive benzodiazepines. If I were to have the courage to stand up and speak loudly about anything, it would be do not prescribe benzodiazepines for anxiety. Teach people how to manage their anxiety, how to tap into their power, how to gain their resources. Because what happens with a benzo is that it creates a very powerful dependency that actually cannot even be managed without medical support to get off of them.
Hmm.
And it's highly addictive, but it does what's called um, a rebound effect. So a rebound effect is where you take a beach ball, and they actually have us teach this in the DUI classes. You know, back when I was a substance abuse counselor, I was teaching people how dependency happens, and alcohol and benzodiazepines are working on the same chemicals. So basically, you can interchange alcohol and benzodiazepines are things like Xanax and Valium. So those things will create an instant like decrease in the nervous system of excess chemicals. And it's like taking that beach ball and pushing it down in the water. And what's going to happen as soon as that chemical wears off, as soon as the drug wears off? Is the beach ball done? No, it bounces up. So now it's not only sitting on the water, it's typically higher for a second. And that creates tolerance. So people need more. And, you know, you've got this vicious cycle ensues.
Hmm.
So that's the bottom up. We've got a top down that works really well. Okay. Would you like to hear more? Let me tell you a case study. This is Amy Walker. She is a CEO to the max. She is a business growth advisor. She's an exit planning advisor. She's like a strategist. She's amazing. She's busy and full of life. She's got 5 boys. She owns multiple companies. She hit a point over 2024 where she just couldn't emotionally keep up. I remember she came to me and said, all right, help. What do I do? And so I basically did, she was the first person this year to do the 6 session journey. And that's when we figured out this works, especially for people that didn't fit into our group model, that weren't local, that were, you know, like they needed something right now and didn't want to wait 3 weeks or whatever for a program to come out. So immediately we started working together with Zero Point Meridian. And she reports within the first few weeks, it was like she could finally balance her world and she got rest. She was in fight flight activation 80% of the time. Like when we tracked it, like she would only go down and she didn't have too scary of a dependency. It was scrolling on her phone. So it was just kind of mindless, like I think a lot of people do at the end of the day to try to like just get her brain to stop, you know. And, you know, she'd spend some time with her family and stuff in the evening, but that was like her body did not know how to slow down. And so the other thing we did right away is we started her on Adrenal Valor. Eventually she had multiple formulas, but the first one was that Adrenal Valor.
Hi, I'm Amy Walker, and I wanted to share how life changing Zero Point Meridian has been for me. So, I live a really busy and full life. I'm a mom of five boys, I own multiple companies, and I hit a point over the last year where I just felt like I couldn't emotionally keep up with all of the things that were going on in my life. I was having a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. I was experiencing strain in my relationships, both in business and personally, just because there were so many things going on. And I found my brain so incredibly full and on the go all the time that in order to relax at all, I would have to be doing like three things at once: watching a show, playing on my phone, maybe listening to an audiobook at the same time. It was like I could not get my brain to shut down. And I was having a hard time sleeping, I was gaining weight, wasn't feeling very good, all the things. So I met Zero Point Meridian and started going through each of the steps and using the formulas. And within my first few weeks, I felt my anxiety level go down for like the first time in over a year. And this is after having tried like multiple different types of anti-anxiety medication. It's like I finally was able to come down to a balance and start to get some rest. And I could just feel my body for the first few weeks. I went through this phase of just being like, I could rest for the first time in a while. And I felt still for the first time in a while. And then I watched as I started feeling my capacity increase to solve problems better. I started seeing that my communication was getting a lot better. A lot of the dynamics that had shifted in, I just started cleaning them up, worked on a lot of forgiveness. And now I feel like I just have better tools at my disposal. So if I wake up feeling anxious in the morning, I have the tools and the techniques that I can go through, whether it's the 0 Point Meridian tapping or whether it's meditation practices. I feel like I am better able to navigate through. My life is still really full, and it's that way by choice. I'm doing big things because I want to be. Everyone else in my life, their answer for me was to kind of like scale back and do less and simplify. But I want to be doing the things that I'm doing. And so what this has allowed me to do is be able to continue moving forward at that high pace, but to be able to actually have the support and infrastructure that I need to be happy and successful in the process. So I would highly encourage anyone listening or watching this to be able to jump in and take that plunge and know that you deserve to be able to feel happy, to feel fulfilled, to go after your dreams and do big things.
Okay, we're going to talk about the adrenaline twins. So, and did you notice here, this was interesting. Anger is actually a higher frequency than fear. And people are like, what? Why would that be? And I actually have it at the top of the well, which is interesting too. Anger is catalytic. Okay. It moves things, right? Fear is contracting. Okay. So when people are angry, they don't always, like, you don't usually see them contract. You see them explode, right? Which is moving energy. When people are in fear, they contract and they shrink sometimes, right? So if you look at my friends, the adrenaline twins, okay, so these are fun. Okay, people who see this are like, okay, I had this in my mind for years, and I finally found an artist to put this on, paper, and you can see they're like little kidney beans, right? So the kidneys, on top of the kidneys, you've got adrenal glands, and so these adrenal glands are like their little hats, but they're both programmed in your body to respond to or with adrenaline. Okay. So fear responds to adrenaline with more the flight. So this is fight or flight. So fear is like kind of running from it or crouching or hiding or moving away from. Whereas anger gets, big, or anger gets loud, or anger gets even. And it's not necessarily healthier or better on the planet, but it is more powerful. Okay. So part of our training, and this is huge, is to learn how to utilize this dynamic in your own nervous system to get your power back. Anger is a catalyst, but claim the courage. So, Adrenal Valor, let me tell you about this. So, this is the formula to enhance courage, relieve fear, calm the mind, encourage a positive view, support shift into the physical being rather than mental space. So, you're actually moving that energy through your body. It allows you to shed emotional baggage, let go of stress, encourages balance between sensitivity and strength, and activates inner power, strengthens personal resistance. It basically balances your adrenal glands and works with your whole, physical resistance system too. This is what a frequency formula is. It works with, first of all, so the 6-session frequency journey includes frequency formulas. They're basically the epigenetic solution in a bottle that we said you're not going to find anywhere else. We are the only place that has these. Okay. But they did come from a doctor and have been around for decades, more or less. So I just ended up with a private label and then found out I'm it now. So I was like, wow, I have responsibility. So the formulas are actually informed through biofeedback technology and other things, but they are similar. We have a whole, webinar on formulas if you want to know more, but just understand they support shifts in the morphogenetic fields. They're information based. They're quantum biofeedback orientation. Okay, so they're not just any biofeedback, but this specific biofeedback has designed at least one of those formulas. So it's called the LIFE system, which stands for Living Information Forms Energy. Isn't that interesting thing about it? So information is like the information field. So that's a quantum field. That quantum field forms the vital body. Okay. So that informs whether you are rooted and grounded, whether your chakras are all running or meridians are all running, so more or less the tapping also does that. But this creates a bigger shift, a more solid shift. Tell us just a little bit, like what could somebody expect if they were doing a 6-session frequency journey as far as the 0 point meridian component? Oh, yeah, this is fun. You want to read this?
Yeah. So 0 point meridian technique has transformed the emotional states of hundreds of clients in the past 5 years. It's like EMDR on steroids. So probably most of you have heard of EMDR, and it is a pretty exciting technique, but 0 point meridian is really powerful.
Okay, this is how we know this. So this was an independent study that was done with a therapist who was very seasoned in EMDR. And so you'll see the rating. So her clients, she did 80 sessions, like she tracked clients along 80 sessions for several weeks and got a pre-score. And this is at CIS forms. The Conscious Intervention Scale measures qualities of well-being along the lines of physical, like your physical stress level, or calm, peace, mental calm and peace, your emotional well-being, your spiritual connection, your sense of like heading forward in life. Okay. And so a high score on that is like 45. The highest you can get is a 50. So low is like anything below a 25. 30 is average. So clients were a little below average coming into therapy. With EMDR, they were like 20, 29. And when they left their session, they were at like a 36. And so that was a good standard deviation higher, right? You can see that in the marks. With 0 point meridian, this is what gets so exciting is that this is across more than 80 sessions. Okay, so these are averages from hundreds probably of sessions along multiple 0 point meridian practitioners. What we found is a 2 standard deviation change pre and post. Isn't that wild? So people came in actually a little bit lower. Like these are people that hadn't been going to therapy for weeks and weeks, like the ones in the, in the other study. They were coming in fresh with stuff that had to be dealt with. And this is in one session. This was transforming their lives. So they were at, an average of like 27, 28 pre-session, and then 40 something 43, I think it was. Oh, 42.6 at the end.
Mm.
Not wild.
Mhm.
So this is working, and it's working in a single session twice as well, really, as EMDR. Next, what else does this entail? Like these 6 sessions. So a 6 session frequency journey includes multiple sessions on 0 point meridian, but also is included the love solve method. So this is the technique that I use with over 1,000 clients over the course of my private practice to support emotional breakthroughs and raise emotional intelligence. All right, would you like to get a sneak peek of the love solve method? So you can see it in the well. So the negative emotional well is part of the love solve method. It involves things like guilt and shame, which are super low frequency, if you can see that, 20 and 30 this is super low frequency. They say that the average frequency in a prison is 50. And if you look at apathy, that would make sense. Like, what do you do when you're locked up? You just kind of sit there. My husband can tell you. He's spent some time behind bars. I laugh. People who know Todd know that, like, he's had quite a transformation, right? And he just celebrated 4 years clean and sober today. I just gave him his 4-year coin and he posted on Facebook. He's actually evolved kind of beyond AA and NA because he's doing a lot of these quantum things and he's just like, he's beyond, right? And so,
There's a bunch of different tools that we used just help people kind of pull back the layers to get down to the root of it. And then when we get down to the root of it, then what we can do is to start rebuilding. Some of the work that we do is to basically loosen up the neural pathways, old patterns, old thinking patterns, old things that we've been doing for a long time, to just start to loosen them up, and then start to create new pathways that we can now be on a new path, for the body, for the mind, and using tools to help reinforce those so that we can start on a new path and not keep doing
not
this.
go in the old pattern. Yes.
Yeah.
It's enough time and practice to learn the technique. So that's another thing people go away with is
Mhm.
pretty much maybe not mastery, but full experience with 0 point meridian for their own use. And this
Yeah.
is what makes it so different. This is, you don't go to an EMDR therapist and learn how to do that yourself. So that's what I love about this. And we're going to talk more about the value, like what makes it different. So we're going to do so basically some affirmations. And with that, we're going to use a technique, or it's a positioning. So we're working with the governing meridian. Okay, so the governing meridian goes from actually your top lip all the way around your back and down. So it's like half of your center. And it's powerful, especially the governing part. It's more governs that masculine or mental body more. So that part of you that wants to force things or, you know, stay in control, this is powerful. All right. So this is where we're going to tell the subconscious. I attract those who support me on my life's journey. So you're just tapping back. So you're taking from the eyebrows and up and over. Okay. How about this one? Everybody ready? I am the hero in my life. Isn't that good? All right. My nervous system supports greater power in my life. And I take care of myself. This allows me to take care of others. I work and play in balance. I have faith in myself and my power to heal finances, health, or relationships. You can be specific. And I let go of what does not serve me. So, with the succession frequency journey, we include 6 individual sessions, 4 frequency formulas, and it's got the love solve method, the 0 point meridian technique. You get a whole manual with it. It is definitely worth $1,200, especially if you kind of stretch it out and use it for 2 to 3 months, like Amy did. So she went weekly for a few weeks and then every other week, and she ended up with like a 3-month program for this. And 3 months is plenty of time to use the formulas with. That is the deal. It's only 777, and we do have one of those systems where you can break it down into payments as well.
one thing that I love seeing is people being able to transform. My personal missions in life is to help liberate the captive.
Mm.
Like we're doing the same things over and over and we're like stuck, right? It's like we're chained spiritually or emotionally or whatever. And I just love being a part of giving people tools to help them free themselves of those patterns and become liberated and what they can accomplish as they've let go of those chains.
Yes. Oh, I love that.